you looking to go from 0 sales to 100 sales in your Etsy shop? These 6 steps are how I went from 0 to 100, and they could be how you get there too. As a matter of fact, if you're hustling to get your first sale or your first 100 sales, you are in the right spot and you've clicked on the right video. And if you're a bit further along in your journey and you have your sights set on 1,000 sales or 10,000 sales, or perhaps even scaling your shop to 6 figures, well, you're still in the right video, because these 6 tips I'm about to share, they're going to help you too. It has taken me 3.5 years of Etsy experience and hundreds of hours of research, but I do believe that I have boiled it down to the main 6 things that are responsible for my success, all jam-packed right into this video. Tips 1 through 4 have my beginners to intermediate sellers in mind, while tips 5 and 6 are by far the most important, yet in my opinion, seem to be the most overlooked. And these are the tips that my advanced sellers are going to find the most impactful. First, let's take a second to set the stage so you have realistic expectations. I literally averaged pennies per hour for the first 5 or 6 months. No, literally, pennies per hour. And I am not an overnight success by any stretch of the imagination. And boy, did I have to grind. It seemed I was in the trenches forever. But I was unhappy in my teaching career with rising expectations and a lack of pay increases. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I was so tired of tutoring after school, which often meant I was putting in 12-hour days. So I was pretty motivated to get this thing to work and to see it through. It took me right around 6 months to get my 100th sale. 6 months! Those were long months. Here I am, a little over 3 years into my Etsy shop. I just hit $1.5 million revenue. I've quit my $50,000 a year teaching job, and now I'm a full-time 6-figure Etsy seller. Might be wondering, well, how did it take her so long to get her first 100 sales, but then she's gone so far in the 2.5 years after those first initial 6 months? Well, that's because on Etsy, you can have exponential growth after that grinding period. And I'm going to tell you just what I did to make that happen. 6 actionable steps you could take as soon as this video is over. Actually, quick side note here. I'm doing this video right now, the one that you're in, because this video up here is one of the most popular videos on the channel. So I thought it was time for an updated version so I could answer some of the questions left in the comments of that video. I'll leave that video linked down in the description below as I go more into depth on certain topics that we're going to discuss today. And watching this video and that video, watching both of them would give you a really incredible depth of understanding of this topic. Before we jump in, I do want to give you a quick update on a tip that I gave in that video, but it's not making the list for this video. Actually, let's just take a quick listen to what I said. I recently had someone reach out to me, and she said, hey, this is my Instagram, and I have 10,000 followers. I'm very interested in featuring some of your items, and would you be interested in sending me some free product? And I will photograph it and I will feature it. And we've got this upcoming event in my town where most of my followers are, and I think that you can get some business from this. So this is called influencer marketing. So I was super excited about this, and I really wanted to experiment with this influencer marketing. I sent her the free products, some t-shirts. I gave her a discount code so that I could keep track of any sales that came from her audience and to entice them to come on over and buy a shirt. Now, I did this about a year ago, and I didn't make any sales based on it until 2 weeks ago. As a matter of fact, that listing never actually sold, so it expired and was no longer available in my shop. So when Herbert, that was the name of the customer that popped in, he popped in and said, "Hey, I saw this design, and when I followed the link, it's not working anymore. I was hoping you'd still sell me this. I really want to buy it for me and my wife." And so I went ahead and relisted it so that he could purchase it. One of my OG subscribers, Rich, who always has such great comments, such valuable comments, said on this video from a year ago, he said, "Hey, great content. We have used influencers by trading products for promotion. The only one with a decent return was 100,000 plus followers. We tried a handful that had 1,000 to 5,000 followers, mainly thinking small business should scratch the back of small business, but the payoff was just not there. So our advice is to stick with influencers that fit your niche with 100,000 plus followers. Anxious to hear how your experimenting works, Shawna." Well, now you know how that panned out for me, Rich, and thank you for sharing your experience and your advice with us. So what tips made today's list? First up, optimize your store. I know, you've heard this before. As a matter of fact, you heard it in this video here. And it is the most boring tip on this list. But you have heard it before because it is true. And hopefully I can at least give you one new tip that you haven't heard before to help you optimize your store. So we'll get this boring tip quickly out of the way right here at the beginning. To optimize your store, first, you need to make sure you have your banner and your icon. Your banner is that image that goes across the top of your store, and the icon is over to the left, just under it. Make this a photo or a logo that represents your business, your Etsy shop. Think about a few colors you want to use as your branding and use those colors in both of these designs. Your icon needs to be smaller than 10 megabytes and at least 500 by 500 pixels. Your banner needs to be 1200 by 300 pixels. Second thing to consider when optimizing your store is pricing. You will want to make sure your pricing isn't higher than most of your competition, but yet still earns you a nice profit. You may also want to think about adding a loss leader. A loss leader, to say it quickly, is just basically an item in your drop-down menu that you think is less likely to sell. So if it's a design really meant for, let's say, a teacher, maybe you have some youth sizes in there, and one of your youth sizes is your loss leader because the adult teachers are less likely to buy that size. And you're going to price that item at a very inexpensive price so that when Etsy pulls your prices, it will pull the lowest price, and that will be the customer-facing price in search results. You might also think about running a sale, and I'll leave a video linked down below with my sales strategy. Actually, you really might want to check that sales strategy out. As soon as I implemented it, my sales almost doubled. Third thing to shoot for when you're optimizing your store is to get 20 listings up as quick as possible. And this is because that is going to make your store look finished, look like it's actually done and ready for a shopper to come in. It's going to fill the whole first page out, and your virtual shelves will look full. Next, you'll want to fill out your frequently asked questions section and shop policies. I will flash some great examples on the screen right now. Now, don't get overwhelmed, though. Just do the best you can and go back and update them later as you better know what people will actually ask. Mine are actually still pretty simple, but we're looking at A-plus top-notch examples here. Lastly, great listing photos. Beautiful photos of your product, nice sizing guides if you're doing apparel, perhaps a satisfaction guaranteed listing photo card. And if you have some 5-star reviews, think about making a photo card to highlight those reviews. Once you have your banner and your icon, your pricing, along with your loss leaders or any sales that you want to run, your 20 listings all done, your frequently asked questions and your shop policies all filled out, and your great listing photos all put together inside your listings, you are ready to move on to action step number 2. Now that your shop looks fantastic, we need to get people over into that shop. We're going to start by making sure we've got great SEO. SEO is your search engine optimization, which is just a fancy way to say your title and your tags. Did you know that most customers make at least 2 searches before they decide on what they want to purchase? So they usually do a broad search like gift for mom, and then they look at all those search results. They see candles, they see t-shirts, they see all kinds of things. And then they start thinking, oh, I really like these candles I'm seeing. Let me do another search. And then they'll do a candle for mom search. And they usually make their purchase decision as they get more specific with their searches. Now, this is helpful for us to know because when we are selecting our title and our tags, we should be mindful of this. A couple of broad terms, and then we definitely want to hit a lot of those very specific terms. You want to make sure all the key phrases you're using in your title and in your tags are based on research. So you'll want to go right over to Etsy and see what's working for other people and kind of piece yours together. You want them all to be super duper relevant and make sure that they really do describe your item. I like to use a plugin called Everbee, and you can try them out for free. I'll leave them linked down in the description below. And when I'm using Everbee, I'm able to kind of scout out and see exactly what tags really good performing listings are using. And then I can make really educated decisions for what I want to include in my listing. If you want more help with your SEO, I'll leave a video linked down in the description below, as I have made videos that really go in step by step to show you how it is that I put my title and tags together. In addition to optimizing our shop and to having a solid SEO strategy, the third thing we're going to do as we race toward our first 100 sales is to get social proof as quickly as possible. We seriously want to get some social proof as quick as possible. Social proof here is just your reviews. Have you ever been to Target and you're about to buy something, a vacuum cleaner, something, and before you decide to make your purchase, you whip out your cell phone real quick and head over to Amazon to look up that product to see what kinds of reviews that product is getting? Or am I the only crazy person that does that? So think here about maybe stocking your shop with some niches that your friends and your family find interesting. And then think about sharing with your friends and family your new entrepreneurial endeavor and let them know about your shop. I bet some of them will race right over, head to your shop, and want to purchase something to support you. And if you have things that they could legitimately like, that are in niches that they enjoy, then you are likely to get a couple purchases, and hopefully that will result in some absolutely terrific reviews. Number 4 for getting our first 100 sales, and this is a thing that really made me stuck for 6 or 7 months and just not able to get there because I didn't yet know how to do this, is driven by data designing, not recreating, but innovating. This is way too complex to dive into detailed instructions as part of this video, but I at least wanted to put it on your radar. I will give you one example here, and then I will leave a playlist linked down below that will take you A to Z on how to do this. Check this example out here. We have this really cool alphabet shirt where they've done coping skills A through Z. And we have this really cool nurse slang alphabet shirt where they have these funny terms. These two are best sellers, and I found them while doing, you guessed it, research. Because remember, we want to be basing all of our decisions on research. Now, your first inclination might be to make another coping skills alphabet shirt or to make another nurse alphabet shirt. But instead of doing that, because that's recreating what's already out there. Instead of doing that, what you should be thinking about is, how can I use this alphabet design idea in another niche that maybe no one's using it in yet? Or how can I sub-niche this down? So instead of doing a nurse one, maybe you make one specific to a school nurse with a bunch of new alphabet words underneath. Or perhaps you now pull this into a completely different niche, perhaps a niche that you're used to working in. So maybe you're good at pickleball. Why don't you do a pickleball alphabet version of this? Quick heads up though, I do need to share something important with you about a design like this before you run ads to it, but we'll try to get back to that in a bit. Action steps number 5 and 6 in achieving your first 100 sales are really going to be key for my viewers who want to scale their shops and even become 6-figure sellers. But first, if you found yourself smiling during this video, could I ask you to take a quick second to go down and boop the like button for me? Now, this might be a really great moment for me to remind you about Tucker's tutoring session earlier. And if you are not yet a subscriber and would like to see me, simply Shawna, hi, how are you? Or Tucker pop up in your feed more often, then take a second to go down and give that subscribe button a little hug and turn on your notifications. All right, this is a tip I said my more advanced sellers were really going to appreciate, and it is definitely the backbone of my personal success. Action step number 5 is double down. Now, this was one of the biggest questions I left in viewers' minds after that first video on this topic. I got comment after comment after comment asking me to please explain in more detail what I meant by double down. So I actually put together an entire dedicated video to this topic of doubling down, and I will leave it linked down below. But doubling down just means to do more of what is already working for you. But first, you have to know how to identify what is working in your shop. When we open our shops, our stats are often turned off by default on our listing page. So the first thing you will want to do is go in and make sure that they are toggled on. Toggling this on will open lots of data that we will be able to use to help us to identify our winners and know what to double down on. We will see visits and favorites in the last 30 days, as well as how many sales that listing has received. When I revealed this little tip in that first video about getting your first 100 sales, the response was overwhelming, and I got comment after comment from subscribers that did not know about this. But this is a vital part of how I am able to double down effectively. I'm looking at this data. So in order to not be at a disadvantage, be sure to toggle that stats toggle on right away if you haven't already. Now that it's toggled on, we're going to go in and we're going to look at the listings that have the most views in our shop. We want to double down on those. We're going to look at what's getting favorited. And yes, even if those favorites have not yet led to a sale, we're going to double down on those listings. We're going to double down on anything that has gotten a sale or sales. We're also going to double down if we happen to have a bestseller badge on any of our listings or a popular now badge. We will also want to double down on anything that we're running ads to, and that ad is kind of blowing up our budget or getting lots of clicks. Now that we know what our winners are and what we should be doubling down on, it's time to actually double down. So let's talk for a second about what that really looks like. You can double down. I'm going to give you 3 ways you could double down. You can make more designs in that niche that you're getting those views in, or those favorites in, or those sales in. If it is a teacher testing shirt, then make more teacher testing shirts. Try lots of different phrases and design concepts that are, of course, based on the research that you're doing. If you have my teacher calendar resource and the deadline on the calendar is passed for the teacher testing niche, then move on to the next upcoming event to list for teachers. This would still be considered doubling down. Quick side note here, if you don't know how to base your decisions on research, don't forget to check out that playlist I will leave linked down below. I will also leave my general niche calendar and resource linked down below, as I did hours and hours of research on this for you already. It can be a game changer with keeping you on target with getting your designs listed in the right time frames. I have received so much great feedback on it already, and I will share with you here the success Dana is finding with it. She chimed in during our premiere of a recent video with this in our chat. I used a niche from Shawna's calendar, and you guys, it has taken off. I'm selling 5 to 8 a day. I've added more in this niche. Good job, Dana. You are doubling down. And within a day, they're getting favorites and sales. And this subscriber here writes, Shawna, I just purchased your niche resource calendar. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I knew it'd be great because your content is incredible. You are so passionate about Etsy and the fact you were a teacher. This is a full-on lesson plan that helped my overthinking brain have something tangible with the start dates, due dates, niche breakdown, what to focus on, positively overwhelming value of information. I am truly blown away and had to thank you for making this. It is so jam-packed with so much information. And as always, you lay it out in such an easy to digest format. Thank you, Shawna. This is just a few of the really great comments I received. I am genuinely so glad that you are finding those resources that I've created helpful and valuable. There is nothing more rewarding than that for me. It makes all the research that went into it so very worth it. And before we head to tip number 6, I do have an exciting announcement. I have been asked so often for one-on-one or group coaching, and I have just been promising for months and months now that once I got things a bit more figured out with how to juggle my Etsy shop and my YouTube stuff, that I would add into the mix possibly some type of coaching. I am finally ready. I'm excited to announce. The plan is to launch a membership group on August 1st. It will be by email invitation only at first. If you have ever purchased a resource from me or downloaded a freebie, you would be on that email list. I don't email very often. I think I've only sent one email out. So don't be alarmed if you've never received an email from me and you're thinking that, maybe you're not on it. If you have downloaded something from me, you are on that list. Keep your eyes open for an email soon. If you decide to join, you will get access to everything that we build together. And as I structure it and release new pieces of content within that membership, I would love your feedback so I can develop the membership in a way that best supports you as you move through your Etsy journey. You will be offered a discounted price through that email invitation only. And I invite you to kind of just be a part of the process while we build something really special together. I would love your participation. I would love your support. I would love your feedback. And you will stay grandfathered in at that initial pricing. I will put together a little freebie with a checklist of the things that we're chatting about in today's video and leave it linked down in the description below in case you want to make sure you're on that email list. You could just go ahead and download that freebie today. Okay, onward and upward. We need to get to action step number 6 to get you to your first 100 sales, or perhaps you scaling your shop. So number 6 is to get more views. Now, the more listings you have, the more chances you have to be seen. It is very simple math. Have you ever noticed that when you add to a niche you haven't listed in a while, all of a sudden some of your old stuff in that niche seems to get some sales or maybe some views, some action? There's this really cool feature at the bottom of our listings. After someone looks at our listing, they scroll down and they see more items from this shop. It's another chance to grab them before they head back out to search results. So if you put more listings out and you are putting more listings out in a way where you're doubling down on what's already working, you are going to show up there with more items that those customers might be interested in. So that's one type of listing you want to be focusing on getting in your shop. More chances to get just the right thing in front of just the right eyeballs. So we want to list more, but we want to be effective and we want to be efficient while we're doing that. You're going to do that by making sure that you're using that strategy of doubling down while you are listing, and be sure to be pulling the other tips in that we chatted about in our video today. All of your listings that you're putting out are now going to be optimized from step 1. They're going to have a solid SEO strategy because of step 2. They are going to be designs that are based on research. They're not going to be recreations of someone else's creative genius. They're going to be innovative and original work, which will help you add something new and valuable to the market. In our quest to get more views, we're going to list. Another way that we can get more views is by taking those listings and A/B testing them. So that means we can duplicate them and change something about them. Now, I have full tutorials on how to do A/B testing effectively, and I will leave that linked down below. But to say it in a nutshell, you take your listing and you get it in front of more eyeballs. One way that Etsy themselves suggests doing this is by putting a different set of title and tags on that listing to get them in front of a new type of customer. Now, when we duplicate a listing that we started in Printify, if you're using Printify as your print provider and you go ahead and sync up your listing and you sync up your design in Printify and push it over to Etsy, finalize your listing, and now you duplicate it, change what it is you want to. Maybe it's a variation. So now you're offering it in a different color, so you pull that to the front. Or maybe you are trying out a different mock-up photo, or maybe you're changing that title in your tags. Whatever it is you're going to change, you've duplicated the listing and all of the SKU numbers are already attached in that listing. And so you're ready to go. It doesn't matter which of those listings that potential customer purchases from. They are ready to get automatically fulfilled with Printify because the SKU numbers duplicated over with it. If you're not yet connected with Printify and you wanted to try them out, I will leave a link to them down in the description below. You can try them out for a month free. You can just use their free version, but if you sign up for premium, you get a really nice discount on all of your items. I signed up for premium right after I got my first sale that I fulfilled with Printify. That made sense to me since it helped me pay for my monthly subscription. Another way you could get more views and get more eyeballs on your listings is to consider running ads. Oh, but wait, there are some things you should know about ads first, because getting a lot of eyeballs quickly on your listings can have your jaw dropping like mine did the other day, especially if it's on a listing like that alphabet one from earlier that I was showing you. You actually wouldn't believe what happened, but maybe that story might be best told over in this video here. I'll see you over there. But of course, not until after that tip from Tucker. Tucker, take it away.